The overhead press is one of the stupidest ways to build your shoulder as a natural. Not only does it risk injury because most people do not have the required shoulder mobility to do this exercise without compromising their lower back, but it also does not work all three delts of the shoulder. First of all, if you want to do this exercise, you need to get someone to assess your shoulder mobility. You need to know if you have the capacity to go completely overhead to get your arm in line with your ear, which is the final position you get in with this exercise. Most people do not have the shoulder mobility naturally because it's a question of their skeleton. It's bone on bone. They get to a certain point and they can't go any higher. And there's no amount of mobility drills that will change that. If you're going to do the compound lifts like squats, overhead press, deadlifts, bench, you need to get someone to analyze your body and understand whether you have the right body type for that compound lift. There's no way you're built for all four of those lifts because each lift requires a different kind of body type, a different kind of limb length, different kind of torso length, and there's no way you're built for all four. So at least if you're going to do the compound lifts, understand which ones you're built for and which ones you aren't, and just accept it and move on. People always say that the overhead press is a great full shoulder builder, right? But the fact is that 2/3 of the shoulder aren't even worked. When you're in the bottom here and you look at your shoulder position, you'll see that your anterior delt is the one that's most loaded because it's directly opposite load, right? Gravity is pulling down this way. The muscle that's directly opposite load is the one that's doing most of the work. So when you're in this position and your front delt is activated because it's directly opposite load and you're pushing overhead, you'll notice that your side delt is all the way over here, barely doing anything, maybe participating a little bit, but you won't get much growth from that. And your rear delt is all the way at the back doing nothing. So the fact that people tell you this is a full shoulder builder is completely stupid. This might be a good front delt builder because the strength curve is good, right? At the bottom, when I'm stretched, it's maximum load. And as I come up and I'm parallel with gravity, it starts unloading. So the strength curve for the front delt is good. But the fact is, if you want to work your front delt, you can do it like this, or you can just do it lying down and save yourself the trauma to your lower back and also just find a much easier, simpler way of working your front delts. People will say, okay, you can train your front delt lying down, right? Or you can do it on a machine with the pulleys behind you coming up this way. Fine. But they'll tell you standing movements like this, the overhead press, are good for athleticism, right? You get athletic. Fact is, people need to understand no one gets athletic in the gym. The gym is not the place you come to get athletic. The gym is a place you come to build muscle and strength to go together. And that's it. Most people, when they come to the gym, instead of building athleticism, they actually break themselves down and ruin their athleticism. Moves like the overhead press will do so much damage to your body that if you try to then go and do a sport like football, tennis, Muay Thai, whatever, jiu-jitsu, you'll find yourself having pains, aches. You'll not understand why because you've been told, hey, man, this is the best exercise for the shoulders. It works everything. It's great for your athleticism, great for your mobility. But the fact is, standing exercises are completely unnecessary for building athleticism. You'll find that the most common injuries in the gym are lower back injuries and shoulder injuries. And this exercise here will damage both. Repeatedly going overhead, whether it's with an overhead press or a dumbbell press, will potentially over time cause shoulder impingement, especially if you have an acromion that's hooked over more than usual. You'll never know unless you go get an x-ray to find out if your shoulder can tolerate continual overhead motions. But most people, if they go overhead over and over again repeatedly, will start developing shoulder impingement issues. And that's just another downside of this exercise and the dumbbell press and any exercise where you're pushing overhead. So if you're going to build your anterior delts, is it necessary for you to be going overhead over and over again and risk impinging your shoulder? Would you not be better off doing it lying down and prevent that risk, prevent your lower back from being injured, prevent yourself from getting shoulder impingement? The fact is, you don't need to go overhead to build your front delt. You can work your front delt lying down on a bench or with sitting down in a chair with cables behind you. There's many different ways to work your front delt with a good strength curve without risking shoulder impingement and without risking your lower back. And people will tell you that compound lifts save you time, right? So if you come in and do the overhead press and think, that's it, I've done my shoulders. The fact is you haven't. You're still going to have to do one exercise for your side delt, and 1 exercise for your rear delt. So you're not really saving time by doing this exercise. You're only fooling yourself because you bought into industry dogma that tells you that this will build your full shoulder. It won't. The overhead press, because it's a compound lift and you're putting the bar overhead, puts a lot of pressure, a lot of compression down the spine. And we all know that spinal loading is one of the hardest things to recover from in the gym. It's that thing that makes you feel tired the next day when you do a heavy lifting session. So if you're going to come in and do this exercise, and now you know it's only a front delt exercise, is it worth it to get all that extra fatigue, to require all those extra recovery resources from your body just to build your front delt? And the final reason why this exercise is so bad is the risk to the lower back. The fact is that in the gym, our lower back is drastically overused. We don't even realize we're doing it. There's a lot of the exercises that are just standing exercises or cable exercises require the lower back to be doing a shit ton of work to keep us upright or to keep us from folding over. If you're doing bicep curls with both arms, what's stopping you from falling over as the weight is pulling that way is your lower back. When you're doing cable rows and you're pulling and the cable's in front of you, the thing that's stopping you from folding over is your lower back. When you're doing squats and you're coming down and your chest, your spine starts leaning forward, that part here, your lower back, is under incredible pressure. When you're doing deadlifts, we all know that's just a bad exercise for your lower back, right? Even if people tell you otherwise. When you go running, and I mean, if you've got good running technique, maybe less, but the fact is, every step you're taking, those forces are coming through your legs and hitting your spine. That's why sometimes when you go run, you can get lower back fatigue. So when we go running, we'll go sprinting. Everything is affecting our lower back. So why would we find exercises that only contribute to that lower back fatigue when we can find other exercises that will work our front delt without inducing more lower back issues?
There's no special exercise that will change the way your body or muscles are built. Most of it is determined by muscle fiber type, muscle attachments, muscle bellies, hormonal profile, how old you are. You need to find the best exercises for each muscle, do the best you can do with what you have, build those muscles as big as possible without injuring yourself, without destroying your body, without eating away at your natural athleticism. And the results will come. And what happens then is based on how you were built and how Mother Nature constructed your physique. So if you guys want to find out more about how to build your body optimally as a natural, how to have good cardio, good sprinting ability, good plyometrics, be an all-rounder, be well-developed, then I have made subscribe and I'll be writing about these subjects weekly. And sometimes it's easier to put these things down in the written word than on a video, which can be more clear and more concise with your thoughts. So sign up if you're interested, and I'll see you guys in the next video.